All right. Let us get this thing going. Hope everyone's doing all right so far this evening. While I get this thing to behave. Come on. Yeah, that's what I'm after. The muffin thing. I don't even know how that started, but thing now. So, good evening all. You made several errors in the player games review, but the only one that got under my skin was calling the culture a future society. It's not. It's an alien society founded around 8000 BC. Okay, I'm going to chalk that up to the fact that I didn't read the blog post describing it, because I don't recall that detail being laid out specifically in that book, which was how I chose to take it in. So while I get that might have riled you up a little, if obviously this was a series that meant something to you, I'm pretty sure that wasn't covered in the book that I actually read. So apologies, but that is just kind of is what it is. Awesome. Yes. I love ninja unicorns. Did you read the full story in one of the past 2 live stream comments? Yeah, probably at some point, Andrew, but like, I don't think you folks realize how much of a sieve my brain is sometimes. Like, it's very arbitrary at times what sticks and what doesn't. Just wanted to say you inspired me to make a channel, and I will be posting videos in December and January. I've already planned 374 vids. Love your content and you're amazing. You are ambitious, my friend, and cheers to you. Wow. I love your glasses. Yes, I like these glasses actually quite a bit. From Brazil. So this one, it's not really, this live stream is not really going to work any different than they always have, but I am just going to point out that I did put it out on the Discord for my Patreon supporters if they had any questions they wanted me to answer, so that they didn't have to just roll the dice and hope that I saw their question in the chat. So that basically gave them a guaranteed answer to a question if they had one. So I will be jumping back to reference the Discord intermittently to be sure that I cover all of those. Oh, wow. This is fun to me. So Quinn Sinclair just asked, have you watched Jessica Jones Season 3, Last of the Marvel Netflix? I haven't yet. Here's the funny thing. You're literally the first person to ask me. Like, I was trying to figure out how to fit, like, binging through that thing in my schedule, because, like, people are going to expect a review from me. Literally no one has asked until you. That's not to say I'm not going to watch it. I am, but that to me is a pretty strong read on how invested people are in that show right now. So it's not as high a priority as it might have otherwise been. Okay, so this is a question related to the Patreon tiers. Is the $100 for book reviews just for novels or any written work? If I wanted you to read and review a 100-page short story, would I have to pay $100? The $100 tier is intended to be a novel length thing. So if you wanted me to read something shorter than that, I would say, like, hit me up, not in the live stream, and let me, like, get a sense of what it is we're talking about, and we can probably negotiate a price that is less than that. But the $100 is intended to be a review of a written work that is novel length. So that's the theory behind that, at least. People are saying glitchy. Is that everybody or just a few people? Do I have to pay $100 for you to read this message? Oh, crap. You would have, but I blew it. You got it for free, so dang it. Not glitchy for me, not glitchy at all. Okay, cool. Well, we got Gryffindors in the house. Coming through fine. Okay, looks like most people have it okay. Awesome shirt. Where'd you get it at? This was an Amazon purchase, and this was bought actually specifically in solidarity because I have a friend who she's doing pretty well now, but she's been battling cancer for a couple years now, and she sort of started a whole thing. Like her friends sort of, it was like Team Ninja Corn was like the whole getting behind her to try and doing what we could to help her through it. So while it wasn't necessarily based around this t-shirt, that whole thing, when I saw this, I'm like, I'm getting that. And she was the first person who got to see it. So that's where this originated from. Probably not going to ask you to review another book for months, probably Christmas. That's actually appreciated because I'm already working on a book review. Of a book that is even longer than Player of Games was. So I've got my reading set out for me for a little bit. So that's appreciated. House Slytherin, you snakes represent. Much love to your Ninja Corn friend. Thank you very much. Ooh, we got the Hufflepuffs. Here in the UK, there's a news article showing a boy dressed up in drag, and he won prom queen. Caused controversy, obviously. Thoughts? I mean, in my mind, it's only an issue if, like, a woman in a tux wasn't allowed to be considered for prom king. So, I don't know if that was even applicable. Like, it might not have been the case. Like, this might have been the only person presenting not as the gender they were assigned at birth. Like, on paper, I'm totally fine with it, as long as it wasn't being done as like, oh, well, this is cute, but like other stuff is, we're not going to treat it equally. But, you know, I don't know enough details. I can't say, but basic premise, I'll support that. Sorry I'm late. Have I missed anything? No, not really. Do you enjoy gin? I don't mind gin. Hasn't really been my thing. I've had a number of friends who, like, gin was their go-to thing. I mean, gin's fine. I mean, the thing is, like, there's no one particular liquor that I'm like, that. Generally speaking, my go-to is hard cider. I like ciders a lot. But as far as, like, a harder liquor, you know, I'm a mixer. I'm a cocktail person. So I'm just more likely to look at what's on hand and make something up on the fly. Because I used to bartend once upon a time. Today is Eric Carl's 90th birthday. Very cool. Folks don't know, Eric Carl's a children's author, best known for The Hungry Little Caterpillar. One of my favorite children's authors of all time, and he's still publishing books to this very day. Awesome. Whiskey is my go-to, but I do like cocktails. Yeah, Wild Turkey was my go-to like 12 years ago. But I don't really do straight liquor anymore. Do I know who Etika is? Only from the news story that came out. I didn't know anything about him prior to that, but I am aware. For folks who missed it, I guess he's a gaming YouTuber, or was a gaming YouTuber who had gone missing, and unfortunately his body was found. What is your favorite Buffy's? Oh, hang on, I lost it. Gotta back up. What is your favorite Buffy season? No spoilers for season 7. I'm on season 7, episode 9, and well, it's not season 7. It is a really tough call for me if we're talking season between 2 and 3, because I'm kind of the opinion that 2 has some of the best single episodes and a really good overall story progression, but there's some hiccup episodes in it as well. Season 3, I think, is probably the strongest overall and has the strongest series arc continuity over the entirety of the season. So I feel like that's a stronger product taking the season as a whole, as opposed to, you know, cherry picking episodes more. But I go back and forth between those two. They're both really, really good. And so not to say I completely crap on the later seasons, because some people do. Like, I actually like season 6 quite a bit. Season 7, as I said, like, look, what you do, you have the finale to look forward to. The actual finale, I think, is great. A lot of the rest of season 7 is a bit iffy. But yeah, no spoilers. Liquor, but I don't know her. Consent, remember, my friends. Consent is sexy and mandatory. If I pay $100 for you to read another novel, could it be any length? I asked you to be a player of games because you told me I could pick a culture novel under 300 pages. I mean, you say any length. If you're going to try and commission me to read, I don't know, the uncut version of Stephen King's The Stand, I'm probably gonna want a premium on that. So like the base level thinking on that right now is in the 300-page range. If you're talking significantly shorter or significantly longer, like I said, hit me up outside of the live stream. We'll figure it out. Thoughts on the Final Fantasy VII remake finally coming out? I don't really have any because I don't have a current gen system, so I'm not going to be able to play it. And I don't have a PC that would be able to run it. So, like, I'm never going to play it. So I don't really care. And I can't, I mean, Squaresoft, and I say that because it was before it became Square Enix, made some of my all-time favorite games. Square Enix is not the same company Squaresoft once was in terms of their approach to games and a lot of other stuff. So I don't know. It's hard for me to get it. I mean, like, again, part of it is I don't game current gen, but it's hard for me, even though I pay attention to what's going on in gaming, to get psyched by a lot of what's going on. Besides the fact, I've always been of the opinion that I'd much rather see proper preservation of old games rather than remakes of them, especially if you're going to redo the mechanics from the ground up. Like, if they just wanted to zhuzh up the visuals, yeah, Final Fantasy VII's visuals, like most early polygon graphics, have not aged well, like, at all. But, like, they completely revamped the combat system, and I don't really want it. Besides the fact that I actually think Final Fantasy VII is overrated. Because it's still good, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the series' bad habits that became endemic of Final Fantasy as a property after 7, they started happening in 7. How incomprehensible the stories became being kind of the big one for me, since I'm kind of a story-focused person in general. Oh, for God's sake, I have fallen behind on this. So excited for holidays because I'm finally able to catch 2 full live streams in a row. Woo! Nice to have you here. How's your weekend going? You say that present tense like I'm currently in the weekend. My weekend past was fine. If I pay you $100, will you read War and Peace? Ha, 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 ha. A favorite video game of all time? That's Final Fantasy VI is my favorite of all time. I have replayed that more than any other game. Have you ever played The Sims? Like, I've fiddled with it. It's not the kind of game that is normally my thing. Like, I like something a bit more linear. I like to have a goal. I'm not the kind of person who can just kind of futz around in a game and get much enjoyment out of it. Favorite Monty Python movie? Life of Brian. I was talking about your current week. Damn autocorrect. Yeah, I know. Autocorrect is the bane of my existence sometimes. It seriously is. So, hang on. I'm going to jump back to the Discord and grab the first of those questions that I got from my patrons. So, let's see. If you had to pick someone to play a Green Lantern on film, which one and who. So which Green Lantern and who would I have them play it? I'd want to go Jon Stewart because at this point I think Hal Jordan needs to be rested. Aside from the fact that like characterization wise, I think I don't think Hal's the most unique guy in the world. And I think there's more to be done with someone like Jon Stewart. Although Kyle Rayner would be solid, except I don't think you can start with Kyle Rayner. I think Kyle Rayner works a lot better as a replacement for whoever was a more traditional feeling Green Lantern. And I think if you're not going to do Hal Jordan, which I don't think they should right now, Jon Stewart's a good call for that. No, Guy Gardner's not even in contention. We're not talking about Guy Gardner. But who would I have? I hope I get his first two names in the right order. John David Washington. So that's Denzel Washington's son, who starred in Black Klansman. He would be my pick to play Jon Stewart. You could go older than him. He's in his early 30s. You could go early 40s if you wanted, but like I kind of like that sort of on the tail end of the ideal sort of military age because Jon Stewart has that background. So that would be my my own pick for that. Loved your recent community post. You look fantastic. Thank you very much. Any recommendations for me to binge or read while I'm sick in the hospital? I don't know what you like, so you got to give me more to work with than that. You think that Ryan Gosling could play another Green Lantern like Hal, Guy, or the first human Green Lantern? Ryan Gosling is fine. Like he's one of those guys where like he's fine. I just don't quite get the hype. If you were in one of DC's Lantern Corps, which color would you be? Oh God, can I even remember all the Lantern Corps colors? Okay, so there's green for willpower, orange is avarice, yellow is fear, red is rage, indigo, I don't even remember what that is. Violet is blue, black is death, white is life. I don't know. Like, I didn't really read much of the Lantern Corps stuff, so I don't know, like, how fully they are supposed to embody the emotion that is driving things for each color. So, I mean, I don't know. On a bad day, I could go either orange or red. Do you think it's time Russell T Davies came back to write an episode? It's been years, and his domestic and comedic style would work well with the current TARDIS team. Okay, I'm gonna give two answers to that. The first is I would be down for seeing him write another story. However, that should not happen when there is so much division in the fan base over the current direction of things, because if he were to come in and write an episode now, like in, say, for Series 12 or Series 13 with Chibnall still in place and Whitaker still there, it's just going to cause this massive fan uproar of people going, well, we should bring him back and get rid of Chibnall and like, regardless of whether or not he'd do it better, like, that's just a level of drama that I, for one, don't want to deal with. I'm pretty sure the people who are producing the show don't want to deal with. It's one of those things where, like, even if he wrote something good, the climate is not right for that, which pains me to say. I loved your Deadline review. So glad you enjoyed the story. I did. That was heavy. I've been commissioned for a number of heavy things lately. I've got a review coming out next week for something that was very heavy. How much of Jessica Jones season 3 have you seen? At present, none. 451 pages, but not until 2020. Okay, like I said, we'll talk offline. We'll talk off the live stream. You can email me. You can hit me up through the messenger function on Patreon, and we'll get it. We'll get it. Indigo is compassion. Purple and pink is love. I would be Indigo Tribe. Okay. I had most of them, though. Okay, your Russell T Davies comment wins. There's a reason I watch you. Oh, well, thank you kindly. Uh, excited for Stranger Things season 3. I just finished season 2. No, I'm nervous because I did not like season 2 very much. Um, so no, I am just very nervous for that. I'm also similarly nervous for Jessica Jones season 2. I'm sorry, season 3, because I didn't like season 2 of that either. Should Doctor Who ever cross over with another show? If so, what? No. I, I'm not. The thing is, unless they're designed to exist within the same space, like, say, the Arrowverse shows, I'm not big on show crossovers. Like, they just. No, I kind of pass. Like, I wouldn't mind an Easter egg sort of crossover. Like, if we saw Red Dwarf in the background of a shot or something, that'd be cool. Like, that's kind of how that it crosses over with the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy franchise. It's little Easter eggy things. Like, I'm down for that, but like a proper the Doctor meets bleh, no. Pass. I'd only commission another novel review before Christmas if I came into some money before then. So if I commission another review before Christmas, my grandfather died. Oh God, okay, now that's depressing and sad. Scooby-Doo meets Doctor Who. All right, I would want to see that as a half-hour animated. I don't know which Doctor. Oh, should totally be the 12th Doctor, and because he's like a grumpy old man, they automatically assume that he's going to be the face that they see when they pull the mask off whatever thing they're going after. Okay, that I want to see. But it needs to be from the Scooby-Doo end, not the Doctor Who end. Because that's the thing about crossovers. Whenever you do a crossover, ultimately, you can't do a proper 50-50 split. It's always one of them appearing in the other one's story. So, like, there was recently or not recently, last year, I guess, the Batman and the Scooby-Doo. That was very much a Scooby-Doo thing with Batman. More recently, there was the Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing, which I haven't seen yet, but I want to. And that was very much a Batman thing with the Ninja Turtles in it. So, if it was a Scooby-Doo thing with Doctor Who, okay, yeah, I do kind of want to see that now. Doctor Who is linked to that continuum of shows that, by virtue, all the crossovers all exist with. Oh yeah, the Tommy Whitefall universe, like that. That was interesting. Like when it first got proposed, but at this point, it's gotten so bizarre and expansive. Like I don't even find it interesting anymore. To me, Doctor Who is too unique for a crossover. Almost the same feeling I have with Gravity Falls and Rick and Morty. Okay, well, fair enough. Yes, I love Scooby Natural. Yeah, I did hear about that. Someone needs to make that immediately. I think we just pitched a thing. Like somebody dial in the BBC, or I guess it's Warner Brothers owns Scooby-Doo. We need a Shrek crossover with Shrek as the master. Oh, no. I'll actually defend the first two Shrek movies, but no. Are you going to watch Batwoman when it comes out? Right when it comes out? Probably not, because I don't have live TV. I did the cut the cord thing. All I've got is streaming services. So, and I don't have all of them. So, I'll see it eventually, I'm sure. Would you want Joss Whedon to write a Doctor Who episode? Not really. Like, I feel like his general sensibilities are not that far off from Davies's. And I like Whedon, but I'm not sure I want his sensibilities kind of layered over something like Doctor Who. Black Mirror Doctor Who crossover. I would like Charlie Brooker to take a crack at writing a Doctor Who episode. Like, I'd be down for that. Like, proper crossover, no. Although again, like in an Easter egg way, like if a piece of tech from Black Mirror were to pop up innocuously in a Doctor Who thing, like I don't know, we saw like one of the dogs from Metalhead, like just walk across a table or something in like in some location. That'd be cool. I'd find entertainment in that. My mother would probably be pissed at me for thinking, but I thought about it, and that seems like the most plausible way. I'd have disposable income in less than 6 months. Look, dude, like, take your time. I'm not going anywhere, so don't sweat it too much. Would you want to see Yesterday? It looks quite cute. I'm not like that rings the vaguest bell. I'm not sure what it. I can't pull it into my head though. What Yesterday is. So I'm gonna need you to help me out there, Meg. Stargate Doctor Who crossover. Yesterday's the movie about the Beatles. Okay, I guess I saw something about that a while back. I don't know enough about it. Like very, very vague. It's like somewhere there. Like I don't really know a lot about it. Do you watch the 100? I do not. So let's see here. In a world where no one knows who the Beatles are, a guy becomes popular by singing their songs. I remember like seeing some kind of trailer or something. I don't know. It obviously didn't leave much of an impression. So I'm going to jump back to the Discord real quick. Grab another Patreon question. Let's see. If you could pick any past companion to make at least a cameo appearance in Series 12, who would it be and why? Like, I could make an argument for any number of companions, but my brain immediately went to Ace. I would love for Ace to turn up and just... She has to have the baseball bat. Like, I don't care how old Sophie Allred is. I still want her to have that baseball bat and the boombox, ideally. But I love Ace. I think Ace is fantastic, and I would love to see how somebody as raucous as her would bounce off of Whitaker. I would be very curious to see that. Martha and Nikki. That would work. There's a movie on Netflix called See You Yesterday, I believe. It's very good and combines racism and bullying with time travel elements. Hadn't heard that one. Finally finished my first read of Good Omens, and I feel that I'd love to reread it soon. I should reread that, because I have read the book, but I read it like 20 years ago. It's been a while. What do you think about the whole Super Hulock thing? I knew about Hulock. Super Hulock is new to me. Is that like combining Supernatural in with it? I've never seen Supernatural. So, like, I don't really have an opinion on its integration or anything else. Sorry, folks, I just don't. I've got to get Good Omens. Oh, yeah. It's a great read. Did you ever read Stand on Zanzibar? Nope. Don't know what that is. Would you want the Doctor's daughter to come back? I know you didn't like the episode she appeared in. So the idea of Jenny coming back into Doctor Who... I'm not going to say that I think it's automatically a bad idea. I do feel like in a lot of ways, if there was a time to do that, it's past. We've gone through 2 complete regeneration cycles without her coming back. So I'm not, like, I feel like the window may have closed. Not like logistically. Like, you could justify bringing her back as far as the logistics goes. But, like, if there was a point in time to do it, I feel like we missed it. That said, like, if somebody had, like, a really strong story that she would work in, I wouldn't say that they shouldn't do it, but you know, if the whole idea is just, and we'll bring Jenny back. Okay, what's the story? She's back. Like, no, I don't care. I think that kind of story where the Dr. Groundhog Days already exists, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, that's basically Heaven Sent, more or less. Oh Lord, if you were on Tumblr during like 2013, Super Hulock was everywhere. Like I said, I only ever picked up on Hulock. I missed the super end of it. I like Tumblr. Tumblr was never something I got into heavily. I was on it off and on for a few years. I kind of abandoned it in solidarity when they swung the no adult content hammer, because there were a lot of creators and artists, especially, whose work I admired and who I basically got completely shut out of their primary platform by that, and just out of spite and solidarity, I was kind of like, well, I'm kind of done with this thing now. So I haven't been back on Tumblr, you know, other than like if somebody sent me a link to look at something specific, I'll do that. But like as a thing in general, I'm kind of done with it. Have you seen any of the Arrowverse TV shows? Yes. So, all right. I have seen 2 seasons of Flash, 2 and a bit seasons of Supergirl, 3 seasons of Legends of Tomorrow, no seasons of Arrow. I've only seen that crew in the crossovers. And I guess Black Lightning, even though it's on the CW, doesn't count in that. So, and I've seen like half a season of that. So I'm not up to date on any of them. The only one I want to be current on is Legends of Tomorrow, because the others I either had no interest in from the start, or they eventually did something to annoy me. Tumblr is the place where civil discussions go to die. I never got stuck into it enough to really get that end of it. I have heard that, though. This is incredibly important. Who would win in a fight? Bating versus Absorbaloff versus the Flood. Think very carefully. It's difficult. I'm not sure that it is, because the nature of the Flood is to completely rewrite the DNA of whatever it infects. So even like with something like the Bating that can theoretically digest anything, or something like the Absorbaloff, which can absorb things into it, it's gonna rewrite them from the inside out. I think the Flood takes it without a heck of a lot of, like, I get why you might think that it might be a bit of a struggle, but like I don't think so. Legends is my fave. I'm just watching them all now. I love Legends. I think Legends is so much fun, and I love those characters. I love Sarah. Sarah is great, but I love Mick. Mick is the best. This huge, gruff guy who just gives everybody these condescending nicknames, and oh, I love that he meets Supergirl, and he's like, I'm gonna call you Skirt, nuh-uh, Ponytail. I was like, I love him. He's such a jerk, but I love him so much. The Flood was the scariest of the 3. Well, yeah, that's not even a question. Favorite Monty Python skit? Oh, oof, individual skit. I'm not even sure. Because there's a lot of really great ones. That one I have to think about. Bebo is to be worshipped. Yes, hail Bebo. VR exists in the Culture series, but it's mainly presented as an option for people who want to experience a life that the rest of the culture would consider deviant. I mean, that's a decent way to handle that. Basically, hand people what amounts to a holodeck and say, "Go nuts." Who's it hurting? Are you waiting for the next book of A Song of Ice and Fire? No, because I haven't read any of them. I was severely intimidated by those books, largely just because of the number of characters. I mean, I had a hard enough time keeping track of the show in its first year or two, and honestly, the only reason I was able to do it at all is I have a much better memory for faces than I do names. So when I was watching the show, Game of Thrones, I wouldn't always remember characters' names, but I'd be like, okay, I know that face, and I saw that face from here, and I know his relationship to these characters is this. But names are harder for me. They don't stick as well. And like there are just so many characters, and when it's on the page, all I have to go by is a name. And if I don't remember it, I'm just gonna, I'll have to keep flipping back, or I know there's a glossary in the back, but that breaks up the flow so bad. The idea that I would have to keep referring to a glossary, I didn't love the idea. I mean, at this point, having seen Game of Thrones, I would actually know who these characters were by name, so I could probably get through it better now. But I don't know. I just haven't. I don't have the drive to do it. Opinion on the YouTuber Bullistrek. I don't watch his channel, and I will leave it at that. And I would ask out of civility that other folks leave it at that too, if you can. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Weapon is surprise, surprise and fear, fear and surprise are two weapons. Yeah, I know this stuff way too well. Game of Thrones prequel. I mean, until I see a trailer, like, okay. Get the comfy chair! I'm more excited about the Lord of the Rings TV series and The Witcher. I'm curious about The Witcher. The Lord of the Rings, like, I mean, I don't doubt it'll be good, but that is one of those cases where, like, we kind of got the definitive, you know, visualization, live action of that story. And I don't know how you do it different in a way that feels valid. I mean, I just don't. And that's not me saying the Lord of the Rings movies are perfect. They're not. But, like, I don't know how you do more than just vaguely tweak it. Quick, there's a weeping angel behind you. Yeah, there always is. Don't worry about it. I've got the camera watching it. We have we have no need of comfy chairs. I got them to say comfy chairs. I'm that one a-hole who doesn't like Lord of the Rings. Well, like, truth be told, I don't really care for the books that much because Tolkien's writing could get very dry. And actually trying to read the books is not always that much fun, to be honest. I do prefer the movies by and large, but you're also not required to like them. That's not, I'm not going to be gatekeeping on you. Don't worry about it. I kind of want a Harry Potter sequel TV show with his son in Hogwarts. I think if you were going to do any kind of a continuation of Harry Potter that is based in Hogwarts, which, I mean, I think is something that makes a heck of a lot more sense than Fantastic Beasts does, I think the best thing to do would be television, so that we were dealing with like season long, you know, a year at Hogwarts being a full season of television. And that would, because what that would largely get us to be able to do is to revel in the sort of stuff that had to be cut for the movies, because a lot of what was cut for the movies was the day-to-day classroom stuff, and that is a pretty big part of just the feel and the flavor you get from those books. So like, I think the idea of a TV show, or honestly, even if they were going to just adapt the books as they exist again, doing it as a TV show makes a lot more sense to me. Whereas with Lord of the Rings, there wasn't that much that was lost in the translation. Like, was anybody really missing Tom Bombadil that much? I mean, I'm sorry, but... Striking Vipers. Do you think a cis man could really spend so much time in a woman's body and not freak out? I mean, I'm not a cis man, so I have no idea. I mean, I think a lot of it just has to do with how strong your own sense of self is. So, like, for lack of a better comparison, you'll meet guys who are, straight, but there are straight guys who will get really weird even in the presence of a gay person. Like like even being friendly with them is somehow a threat to their masculinity or their straightness. But you'll have others who would just like treat them like anyone else, and I think that is just like an easy, very rough approximation of what I mean by strong in their sense of self. So if the nature of a cis male in terms of his gender identities is if he's truly firmly secure in that, no, I don't think he would necessarily be freaked out by it. It would just be a different experience. Didn't you read The Cursed Child? That didn't turn out well. Well, no, it didn't. But the reason The Cursed Child didn't turn out well wasn't because it was about the younger generation. The reason The Cursed Child didn't turn out well is because they were trying to force a novel-style story into a play format, which didn't make a lot of sense. And they also broke their own time travel rules that had been previously established. It was sloppily written. It wasn't an inherently bad... Oh, and also, they forced the involvement of Voldemort again. Can we move on from this freaking guy? Can we ever be done fighting him? But if it was just a continuation of the next generation of kids, I think there's a validity to that. And just because it didn't work in The Cursed Child doesn't mean the concept is flawed. It just means the execution of that specific thing didn't really work. Worst movie experience you ever had? I don't know off the top of my head. I can tell you, though, the first movie that I remember hating. Like, there were movies that I didn't like before this, but the first movie I remember hating was Jim Jarmusch's movie Dead Man. I hated that. It had its head so far up its own butt. I was in high school. I was like at the perfect age to just absorb the pretension and feel smart for it, but I hated it so much. Do you prefer practical effects or CGI in Lord of the Rings type movies? Practical. I mean, if you can do practical, if you can get the practical, do the practical. Like, CGI in my mind should only ever be employed when the practical is impractical. But like, practical effects should be the default. They just should. They look better. And CGI should be reserved for when you're doing something that you cannot do otherwise. Which is how CGI used to be used, when used well. Like, you think back to something like Terminator 2 or Jurassic Park. Most of the shots in Jurassic Park, those are practical puppets. It's only on the shots where that was not viable that they used CGI. Is the N64 functional? Yeah, it is. I haven't used it in a bit, but 3 months ago or so, last time I turned it on. Worked then. Lord of the Rings, the musical. I'd be vaguely curious. Especially considering that there are enough songs in those stories to actually not even have to write that much original stuff. I would prefer to see a spin-off based on the founders of Hogwarts. What do you think? No. Like, I'm not saying it couldn't work, but like that doesn't trigger any interest in me. Have you ever watched Tremors? I have. That's fun. I've seen the first 3 Tremors films. That's a fun series. It's very dumb, but it's surprisingly well written for being dumb. There actually is a Lord of the Rings musical. It was only performed in Canada and London. Huh. When does it date from? Because for my money, this was probably either done to try and cash in on the movies or it's from the 70s. And now I'm curious. CGI mixed with practical effects is the best way to go. Look at the behind the scenes of Mad Max Fury Road. I mean, that's a great example. like nearly everything there was done practical primarily, if not exclusively. I mean, down to the freaking flame-throwing guitar. That was a practical effect. But they'd like slightly enhance it. They'd remove guide cables that were used to ensure that the cars were going the way that they needed. They removed tracks with CGI. Late 2000s. Okay, so it was cashing in on the movies. Before the movies, turn of the millennia. Well, that would have been right around the time of the movies. First movie came out in 2001, folks. Do you realize how old these movies are at this point? The Hobbit as well. I think I knew that. I think I knew that one. Is it fair to say that anyone can be cast as a companion, but not everyone can be cast as the Doctor? Well, you know, with the asterisk, assuming they can act worth a dang. See, I'm not sure I'd say that because, like, a big part of, like, my personal restriction that in my mind for casting the Doctors, it has to be someone from the UK. And that is because I fear that moving outside that, especially if they ever cast American, that the show will start to lose its very British identity and approach, which is a big part of its charm for me. And I would worry about that with American companions as well. So, like, I really kind of do think the core cast kind of needs to be from those islands. Would you prefer to see the Marauders and Lily get a story? That would be cashing in part of Harry's story. I mean, maybe. I just linked a clip of the musical to your Twitter. I will check that out after the live stream's over. If you had a chance, would you rather play the Doctor or a companion? Like, first of all, like, to be clear, based on my criteria, I would never cast me. Setting that aside, I would want to crack at the Doctor. That would be my preference. Because I have an ego like that. So I'm jumping back to the Discord real quick. Have you seen any trailers or teasers or promos in the last week or so that have hyped you for whatever the property is? Not really. I think just the fact that I cannot remember if I've seen any trailers or teasers for the first time in the last week or so, that was kind of my answer to that. And oddly enough, when I stop and think about it, like, I feel like teasers and trailers lately have been kind of leaving me cold in general. I can't remember the last time that one got me, like, really pumped. I think it might have been Endgame. And even that was largely on the strength of what had been built up by that franchise. I cannot remember the last time a teaser, like, really made me sit up and pay attention. I guess maybe Us, but even that feels like an outlier. Marketing stuff doesn't do much for me these days. I don't know if I'm just getting too jaded for it to work anymore. I'm too cynical to be marketed to. Oh, God. I'm still waiting for the Tom Hooper Cats trailer. Oh, Lord. I forgot they're doing a movie of cats. Oh, man. Why was that a thing? Why is it still, like, what? I will never understand the appeal. I've never met a single human being who likes that show. Like, I've known people who like a couple of songs. I don't know anyone who actually likes that thing. And, like, I know a lot of theater people. Like, those were my people. Like, especially through high school, college. Like, I don't know anyone who likes cats. I don't get it. Do you think it would be better in Doctor Who if Amy and Rory left at the end of Series 6 and Series 7 is only with Clara? I don't think the point at which Clara comes in is the reason she doesn't work. The reason she doesn't work is because the version of Clara that we got, they didn't bother to characterize her. the Oswin and the Victorian governess versions of Clara are much better characterized in the one episodes they appear in than Clara is for her entire half a series in series 7. So the issue was not that she only got half a series. The issue was she was uncharacterized and she was a plot device, not a character for that entire first stretch of her run. That's why she didn't work. She got better later. Then Hellbent happened, and oh man. Hey. All right, hold on. I missed something here. I just experienced deja vu. Something you said set my brain off with it. I saw something recently that might have been somebody retweeted on Twitter. What if deja vu happens because you died and you just reloaded your last save? I found that to be amusing. Have you seen Origins of the Air? No, that's the fan film. Harry Potter fan film, right? I think. No, I haven't. Clara as a teacher was amazing and relatable. Yeah, Clara as a teacher was solid. Like Clara started to feel like a proper character in Series 8, and she also had much better chemistry with Capaldi than she had with Smith. She grew on me over time, but she had a rough start, man. She really did. Did 11 pick up another Clara fragment after Name of the Doctor? Clara suddenly had a new job and relationships in a new area of town. I mean, like, there was also a time jump, so, like, I was prepared to roll with that. That didn't bother me so much. No disrespect to Jodie, I enjoy her, but wish Bradley Walsh was the Doctor and Jodie was a companion. I've seen more than a few people say that. I do like Bradley Walsh, and I'm not sure I'd see Doctor in him. But then again, if he was playing the Doctor, maybe he wouldn't be playing it the same as Graham. So, I don't know. Why do theater people and music people hate each other? Because they both want all the credit. Music people want all the focus to be on the lyrics and the notes, and theater people want all the focus to be on the performance and the presence, and they just butt heads. Like, theater people especially, like, we're attention seeking. And, you know, when just some dude with an acoustic guitar is hogging the attention, we get salty. I also nominate a younger Angela Lansbury as the Doctor. Heck with that. I want Angela Lansbury right now as the Doctor. She's still kicking. Let her do it. Did you watch Batman animated movie Mask of the Phantasm? I own it. So yes, I have. I've seen that. Like I said, I haven't seen the latest few DC animated, but like all the older ones I've seen. You know, the Batman Beyond one, Return of the Joker, the Sub-Zero, Mask of the Phantasm. Like, I've seen all these things. I own a chunk of them. Is that coffee not cold yet? It's not warm anymore, but it's still very tasty. Angela would be amazing. Yes, she would. Angela Lansbury, Doctor Who meets Jessica Fletcher. Side note, loving the glasses, shirt, and hair overall look is great today. Thank you very much. Extermination, she wrote. Did you watch Whose Line Is It Anyway? Yeah, I used to back in the day. I forget what channel used to marathon. It might have been Comedy Central. Like when it had dead time, you would marathon that like back in the day. Yeah, that was good stuff. Like the British version, like the original British version. It's real good. Have you seen Return of the Joker? Oh yeah. I love how after everything the Joker's done, he can't handle being the punchline. Like I really love Return of the Joker. I think it's phenomenal. For me personally, I think it might be my favorite of the animated DC things. It's really, really good. Are you watching The Joker with Joaquin Phoenix or Birds of Prey? I mean, probably when they come out. I'm curious about both. Like the Joker one, especially, like it's going to be really hard. It's like a tiny bullseye where that works. But if they can hit it, it's going to be dang impressive. Like I feel like going to that movie is going to be like watching a daredevil trying to jump a gorge on a motorcycle. It's like I don't think you can actually pull this off, but if you do, it's going to be amazing. I love all the iterations of Whose Line. Yeah, like I've never seen a bad iteration of Whose Line, largely because they pretty much all have Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery, and you can't really go wrong. What I said about the culture being totally alien society, does that take you out of sci-fi stories, aliens being identical to humans? No. But I think if I had known that they were an alien society, yet they basically are indistinguishable from humans, aside from, the things that they have developed over time, like their glands and whatnot, that might have bothered me a little bit, because if they're just visually going to be the same as humans, then why do they need to be like my question? And I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing, and it wouldn't necessarily take me out of it, but part of me would be wondering why, what does it being an alien society add if functionally and visually they're the same as humans? I mean, I'm sure a lot of it probably ties into the backstory and history of the culture and all that stuff, but, yes, Quinn, that is one of my favorite moments from Return of the Joker that you just quoted. Okay, I gotta jump back and get some more of the questions from the Discord. Let's see. What movie, book, TV show, comic, etc. started you down the geekdom path, and why? It was probably Star Wars. My mother introduced me to Star Wars when I was 3. My uncle had HBO, and so he taped the original trilogy onto VHS off of HBO for me, or for her, because she actually loves Star Wars. And then she introduced it to me on those old VHS, secondhand VHS, taped off HBO. Introduced at 3 years. Like, I've been watching Star Wars for so long, I do not remember watching Star Wars for the first time. I don't remember. So like that was the start, I think, very firmly. That and I also saw Ghostbusters when I was probably 4. So that probably solidified it. Have you seen The Orville? First few episodes was fun. I really should get back to it. I haven't. The Orville is awesome. Yeah, no, it seemed pretty good. I'm dreading the new Star Wars film. I mean, I'm curious. I have reasons to be skeptical because there's... Whoa, sorry. I have a lot of issues with The Last Jedi. But as I've noted, they're not the issues that the most vocal detractors of that movie have. So, like, it puts me in a weird position. But I'm going to give it a shot. Even if it turns out really good, it's not going to raise my assessment of The Last Jedi, probably. But, we'll see what we get. I have a strong suspicion that by the time this new trilogy is done, I'm going to have a main core issue, which was something that I actually have been afraid was going to be the case of, for these, even before Force Awakens came out. I don't want to say what it is because I kind of want to hold on to it in case I turn out to be right, but we'll see. Man, your mom let you watch Star Wars and Ghostbusters as a kid. I'm jealous. I mean, she introduced them to me. She also introduced me to the Rocky Horror Picture Show when I was 13. I like my mother. She's a cool lady. What do you think it would take for the BBC to get Christopher Eccleston to play 9? Well, I guess my first question is, are any of the people who he holds his grudge against still at the BBC. Because, and the reason I ask is because at this point, I'm wondering, is it about the specific people who did him wrong when he was on Doctor Who, or is it just the BBC as an entity? I don't know which is the case. And if it's the latter, that's misguided to me. If it's the former, then he may not do it until they are gone. And that's not me saying like fire them, but like, you know, if somebody you don't want to work with is there, maybe you don't go back. To me, there wasn't enough Reylo in The Last Jedi. I said it, don't at me. I mean, like, Kylo Ren for me is by far the most interesting character. But I also feel like they kind of... most of the characters, I feel like they brought their arcs actually kind of to a close at the end of The Last Jedi, which is part of why I'm nervous for the next one. I think Banks did it that way so we wouldn't think his utopia was achievable for us. It was what he wanted, not what he thought would be. I mean, that's an interesting enough angle, and logically that makes sense. But, I mean, I have a feeling that if people were going to read it that way, they still would. You know, because it's, even if it's an alien society, it's going to be read allegorically. As a parallel to human society, unless he ever actually establishes what Earth and humans are up to. I don't know if he ever did. I'm over Star Wars, but I'm only seeing 9 because out of obligation. I am actually curious about what 9 is going to be. I'm not excited. I'm not even sure if I'm hopeful, but I am curious. I remember when Rocky Horror came out, but I didn't get to it until the 80s. Yeah. Let's see. I've got a couple more from the Discord. Which upcoming MCU movie or show are you most excited for or nervous about? I mean, I'm most nervous for the Eternals for 2 reasons. The first is I know absolutely nothing about the stuff that they're basing it on, but I'm pretty sure the Eternals was Jack Kirby, and Jack Kirby's cosmic stuff could get really obtuse. So that's going to put them in a case where somebody really needs to be able to mold that. And I hope that they're able to do it and give us something good. And also, the rumor is that the first, main kind of character who's going to be LGBTQ plus is going to be in the Eternals. So I'm going to be nervous for it for that reason, too. Excited? Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We're probably a minimum 3 years off from that one. But, yeah. It's gonna happen, and that's probably the one I'm most excited for. I think that is the last of my Patreon questions. Yeah, cool. So I got all those done. Didn't know about Rocky Horror until college. Well, it wasn't until college when I finally got to a midnight showing. Jeez, splashed a little on myself. But I knew the movie well before then. My father's friend introduced me to the Fourth Doctor back when I was about 10 or so. Yeah. Don't waste the coffee. Yeah, no, definitely don't. I don't put it in quotes. There is coffee in here. Among other things. Aren't they remaking Rocky Horror? Did I dream that? You sort of dreamed it. They did one of those live show things with it, like they did with Sound of Music and Grease and Jesus Christ Superstar and Peter Pan and a bunch of others. That happened a couple years ago. So that already happened. Never waste coffee. Anticipation. Did the older Doctor Who also have the women comedians wanting to bang the Doctor? No. That is purely an invention of modern era Who. Like, to give you an idea of how asexual Doctor Who was, it was a massive deal. Like, and the fans were pissed off in the 1996 TV movie with Paul McGann when the Doctor kissed the companion. Like, that caused an uproar. So, yeah, no, that's totally a modern era thing. He did the short story I was thinking about them discovering Earth in 1977. Also, he explicitly stated in that blog, Earth humans aren't capable of this. Fair enough. Again, I skipped the blog because it was a bit too dry, and I like to get these things from context of a narrative. So, I think we just approach it differently as readers. My parents wouldn't even let me watch the masturbation episode of Seinfeld. Rocky Horror would have been out of the question. Like, here's the thing. Like, my mother very much was of the opinion that she was much more concerned about me watching things that were violent than things that were sexual. So, like, I was seeing, things that had relatively casual, low-level amounts of nudity or cursing from a fairly young age. And she was like, you understand, don't repeat those words, right? And I'm like, yeah. And she didn't care if I saw breasts because she's not a prude and she doesn't think there's anything wrong with them. So she was way more concerned about me seeing violent stuff. On Legends, did I dream that Zari was gay? I don't remember that coming up. Again, though, I haven't seen the latest season, so I'm not up to date. I'm trying to remember when we let our kiddo watch Rocky Horror. Definitely before teens. Cool. Didn't Tom Baker date the woman that played one of his companions? He married Layla Ward, who played the second version of Romana. That did not last long. And they were still on the show together when they were breaking up. Their early stuff together, you can feel the crackle and the pop of the chemistry, but even that, like, it's an undercurrent. It's not explicit that the two of them are hooking up in the show, like the Doctor and Romana. You get the vibe because, the actors were, but it wasn't woven into the narrative. Why are parents cool with letting kids see violence but not a woman's boobs or sex? Just cultural hang-ups. And also it varies country by country. So, like, this is secondhand that I know this, but, like, by and large, violence in, like, film and whatever and stuff is much more closely monitored in places like Europe, whereas nudity and things like that they don't fret as much about. Whereas in America, we're still shaking off the very puritanical roots and the foundation of our country, and we got some hang-ups over here. It's embarrassing sometimes, honestly. Have you ever watched Candyman? I have not. I did know that there is going to be either a remake or continuation. I'm not entirely sure what it is. I did hear that, but no, I haven't seen the original. America's kind of puritanical when it comes to sex. Kinda? We have friggin' parts of this country that have abstinence-only education. As if teenagers' hormones are suddenly going to stop telling them to have sex if you don't explain to them what sex actually is. That's not me advocating that teenagers should have sex, but for God's sake, they should understand what the hell the mechanics are. Have you watched Indiana Jones? Have I watched Indiana Jones? No, I've never heard of it. Please describe for me this Jones from Indiana of which you speak. Sarcasm. And that's the end of that, which is usually my cue to wrap things up. Conversion therapy. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm not even going to get started by that path. But, yeah. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. Oh, I think I was hunched over in the chair a little bit weird. Hope everyone has a good evening and has been having a good week and has a good rest of the week. Before the week's over, I need to go and replace my car. Fun. Not looking forward to that. But I'll get through it. We'll all get through it. Look, stuff's tough. But you're not alone. You keep moving forward. And you are beautiful. You are valid. You are loved. You are the council. I just run meetings once a week live with you folks, in addition to all the other videos that go up. So, hope everyone is good until next time. See you then. Had it all set, but I missed the button. Now I'm still staring at this thing